What's up, you guys? If you want to live a life of financial freedom, you have got to figure out a way to emotionally regulate your decision making, because that is going to end up putting you in debt. And there's all sorts of marketing and ways of putting people in debt. You can't really go anywhere without certain retailers like offering you debt all the time. And so people find themselves in debt, and the system is meant to get you in debt and keep you in debt. And I found myself $58,000 in debt, and we paid it all off and turned it around. And emotional control is the thing that I'm going to talk about today, because as I look back on my journey over the past few years, emotional control, emotional regulation, this has been critical, and I'm going to highlight it in one important story. So we have a deck in our backyard, and when we moved into this house, the deck was sort of like falling apart. Fast forward a few years later, I'm jobless, I'm broke, and I'm in debt, and the deck is falling apart, specifically the railing that goes around it. And so one day when I was feeling, up to it, I knocked down the railing, and then I invited some buddies over, and I was like, oh, we're going to knock down this railing, and then we're going to build a new railing, make it a little bit safer. Well, when we knocked down the old railing, it exposed some of the rim joists on the deck, the framing, and it was all rotted out. I mean, rotted out, huge holes, gone, and it was clear that this deck needed to be replaced. It really wasn't even safe. But now I had already taken down like the railing around it, so it was like unsafe. I go to figure out how much it's going to be to put together this deck, you guys, and like the quotes that are coming in are outrageous, because it's like 2021, it's 2022, something in that area. Lumber prices have skyrocketed, and so they're quoting me like $40,000 to build a deck this size. It's outrageous. I know I can't afford it myself, and so now I'm stuck because I've got this deck. The deck is now sitting there looking shitty and dilapidated, and I absolutely hate it. And I'm talking to Jess because we are in the midst of trying to get out of debt. And now I'm talking about like, hey, should we take out a loan to pay for the deck? And she knew that our goal was to get out of debt. And she asked me something, and she said, why would we go in debt to fix the deck? And I was like, well, the deck looks like shit, and it's unsafe, and we need to do it right now. And she's like, yeah, but can it wait a year? Can it wait 2 years? And I was like, in my head, I was like burning up, because I'm like, well, fuck no, it can't wait that long, because I don't want to sit there that long with my house looking like shit, like, and my deck unusable. And we've got like little kids, so like now we can't even fucking let them out on the deck because it's a safety hazard, because they'll just fall off the deck. Or, it's an elevated deck, it's 6 feet off the ground. So that's the problem. Now this deck looks like shit. And more than that, you guys, I'm actually feeling insecure about like how it looks. It's a shitty looking deck on the back of my house, and I fucking wish that we could afford to fix it. And the truth is that we couldn't afford to fix it without going further into debt. And that was our whole goal, was to try and pay off the debt. I say to Jess, let's go into debt and let's fix the deck. And she says, why do I want to fix the deck so bad? And I admitted to her, I said, because I feel like it looks like shit to the neighbors. Like, we look like fucking schmucks who can't fix their fucking shit and can't afford to fix their shit. And the truth was, that was true. We couldn't. But I didn't want to look like that. So that's what I said to her. I don't want to look like a fucking schmuck. We look like piece of shit neighbors because we can't even afford to keep up our house right now. And I feel awful about it. And she said, if we lived way out in the country, we had a house that was miles away from everybody, and we had the same house and the same deck that was dilapidated and shitty, would you go into debt to fix it? I said, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even give a shit then. She's like, you care too much what people think. And I was kind of fucked up about it for a second. She was right, though. I did. At the end of the day, we decided to not fix the deck. Have it look like shit, who cares? We kept our kids safe, and there were still plenty of moments that we used the deck in a safe manner, even without the goddamn railing. And, if you're somebody who follows me on like Facebook and Instagram, you saw the journey that I posted of like me building a deck. I had no experience, no carpentry experience, and it was fantastic. What a learning experience. And now for the next, decades of my life, I get to sit there on this deck that I built myself. However, we paid for that sumbitch in cash ourselves. Felt good about it. We sat there with a shitty deck, an unusable shitty deck for 2 summers, 2 straight summers, 2 years. We sat there with like an unusable shitty, and then at the end of it, your boy built a deck. And now every day we get to just go up there and, watch the sunrise, and it's just amazing. So emotional regulation is what I'm talking about today, because when I had gotten myself in debt, that sort of thing comes from a place of just like spending. So there's no control in some ways. There's not enough control, at least, to say that you have savings. So what I'm saying is, like, it's not like a total lack of control if you find yourself in debt. But what I mean to say is that you're living over your means and you're creating this debt. and it's not sustainable. It cannot go on. And you know it can't go on, because if it goes on, you're just going to have more and more debt and more and more debt and more and more debt. There's no end to it until it's bankruptcy or just a really shitty lifestyle where you're a slave to having a job and making payments on shit. Over years, you've built up this lifestyle that is exceeding what you can afford. And now you have a challenge. Now you have to regulate down to what you can afford. But if you do that, you're never getting out of debt. You know what you're doing now? You're just not going into debt further. That's not what you have to do. So now you have to go from living over your means to living at your means. And that's not good enough. Now you have to live underneath your means for a long fucking time. That's what you have to do if you want to do this. And most people don't have the emotional regulation to make it through the decision making that's necessary. I mean, take me, for example, with that stupid deck, right? Like, in that moment, I ended up coming out of it, but only because I had a partner who understands how to ask me poignant questions to make sure that my decision making is in line with my heart. Now, honestly, if Jess wasn't here, man, I'd have put that shit on a credit card. I probably would have. And that's the exact sort of thing that would have kept me in debt. Another $20,000 in debt. That's the sort of thing that keeps everybody from getting out of debt. Like, you go to get started paying off debt, and then you have this thing in your head. You're like, this is great. I'm going to get out of debt so long as nothing goes wrong, nothing goes unplanned, and everything works out perfectly. That's never going to happen. You have to know going into this, when shit gets fucked up, it is not a sign to bail out. It's just a sign that this shit is hard to do. Stay focused. Stay focused. Stay focused. Do your best. Make your best decision and do your best. Even if you're given a curveball like your deck has to be rebuilt and it's tens of thousands of dollars. If you want to get out of debt, stay the course. That's what is really necessary. And for me, at least, in my whole journey here, that was the thing. It's emotional regulation. And you know what's so interesting now? Now I've been making these different decisions and regulating those emotions for several years straight, which has resulted in our financial situation changing for the better. It's kind of made me a different person. I kind of make different decisions in all sorts of areas of my life. It's good. It's good. I'm thoughtful. And I'm constantly having to tell myself, like, this is what I'm focused on and this is what I'm focused on. So, emotional regulation, if you're living over your means, you got to bring it back down to living at your means. And then you're going to have to live underneath your means. And that's a tremendously different lifestyle than you are going to be used to. And it's going to be uncomfortable. You may think that that is a reason to stop. It's not. And you have to remind yourself that if you keep going in that direction, that is true discomfort. Like, bro, if you continue to go into debt just like over and over and over, you will lose sleep. I know you will, because I lost sleep about it. But if you stay committed to paying off debt and just have to solve a problem in your head of how do I get a deck or how do I solve any wrench that's thrown in my plan, that is the sort of thing that you can solve and still stay committed to your goal, sleep well at night. But guys, life is not perfect, right? So like, you're going to hit struggles. It's going to be a struggle to get out of debt and save up money if that's what you want. But it's also going to be a struggle to stay in debt, and not a struggle in terms of like, you're going to lack a big screen TV. You'll have a big screen TV, but you won't be able to sleep at night and you won't have peace of mind. You're going to end up feeling like a slave with every bit of your life force. So these are my learnings. I've just learned that part of that process for me, one of the most critical things is decision making and being able to emotionally regulate yourself. So stay positive, love your life, get your ass out of debt, do your thing, live with tons of joy in your heart. I love you guys. Take care. Peace.